progress. I thank you for approving the grant
Thank you.
acceptance.
Appreciate that. Where are we at now? Okay. Board action items. Number 1, partial monthly financial reports for August of 2024.
Good evening. The financials are on pages 69 through 95. These are for review. We're still in that time of the year where we're waiting for the audit to be completed, and then all the financials will come for review and approval, review and file when the audit is completed. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Yeah.
I got one quick question. So I'm looking at page, actually it's 90. So I see we got Water Systems Consulting, which actually starts on 89. And we have a total of $41,317 for the vendor. But one of the, it says that we got $1,097 to the Paso Basin Cooperative Committee.
That's on page 90.
That's on page 90, yes.
Yeah.
It's like a,
So those are my notes. It's not being paid to the Paso Basin Co-op Committee. It's for the project that's the title I've been using. Kelly has a better one.
That's what we use to account for our engineers spending time on that. So when they do stuff for the district, for that committee, when they're reviewing whatever, if they're working with me on whatever it is for that proper committee, that's what we account for under. So they bill us separately for any work that's done for that, for us.
so I know we pay a portion of the annual report.
So that's separate.
Right.
So this cost through WSC is for them acting as our district engineer
The money.
for work towards the cooperative community.
Okay, is that come out of the grant?
No, it comes out of the water, our water.
Okay. So like, what are we doing? What is that that's going to?
Without looking at that exact invoice, I don't know what that $1,000 was for exactly, but we get charged by the hour for their hourly rate. If they're reviewing RFPs, if they're attending meetings, they've been involved with
Okay,
setting
I
meetings.
got you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Director Davis?
No.
Okay, I'd just like to say that I did spend time with Scott, the auditor, about 20 minutes on the phone. I had a list of questions that I asked him and went over everything that I could think of to ask him, that I had questions on my mind, and he answered them to my satisfaction. So we had a good conversation. That's all I have. Move on. Public comment on that?
Thank you, Chairperson and the board. My only comment would be this time that's spent, because we're always asking when we go to these meetings, who is staff? And last night, and we'll get into it here later, staff approved something. So now you're being charged for staff time in this thing we just talked about. And this board doesn't even know what staff did. This board doesn't know what staff voted on. This board doesn't know what staff approved. And how did staff approve anything without it coming here first? And this board approving to tell staff what to do. This is a major portion that's really a problem. You 4, 5, missing, are the GSA. Staff is not the GSA.
Just remind Mr. Grewal, this is about the financials.
Yes, the financials on you spending money that the board somehow approved that staff said it was okay.
We're gonna have a section on it, you say.
All right,
You can bring it up at that time.
all right, thank you.
Any other public comment?
It's also a reason why we have a budget, so we don't have to approve every single bill at this meeting.
Number 2, establishment of a wastewater service approval and waiting list, receive and file.
Yes, this item is to establish a wastewater service approved and waiting list. This list is comprised of approved projects and projects that would be placed on the waiting list for future service. Since 2019, we've had an ordinance in place that allows us to establish such a list and prioritizes different types of services for different priorities above others. In that ordinance, section 8 is the section that deals with this. Essentially what we're at is we're at 75% approximately of our capacity. The projects that are being proposed,
Hey guys,
the projects that are being proposed are going to exceed our capacity if they're all built. So we are establishing a waiting list, or an approved and a waiting list for these projects that are known at this time so that they can receive service as service is available. On page 97, that the list is presented there, there's essentially 161 homes that are currently on an approved list, or 164, excuse me. And there's 311 that are on a waiting list. Assuming that all 164 homes are approved and move forward and are built, the approved list, 15 additional homes would be, we would have capacity for 15 additional homes. If you're looking at the chart, if all of the waiting list and approved homes are built, we would need a plant capacity of a minimum of 259,111 gallons per day, which is 59,111 gallons more than we currently have capacity. The proposed wastewater treatment plant expansion would provide for 325,000 gallons a day, which would cover all of the listed projects. Bear in mind that not all these projects would be built. Some of them have been going around for decades, and some of them might go around for decades more. But again, this is a list of projects that we know of currently. There will be new projects added to this as people apply, and they will be ranked according to our ordinance in section 8. Again, this is just for receive and file. To establish the list will be updated as needed and be brought back to the board for review in the future. If you have any questions, be happy to answer.
I do, I have a question. The top section of that list is what has been, so that's what has been approved, but they haven't paid any connection fees. How close, except for that first one, how close are they to actually, I guess what my question is, how is it that they got the priority and not the ones on the waiting list?
So
Assume it's paid fees.
So the priority is to the ones that paid fees. The only one that paid fees is track 3131 for 15 homes. That's why it's shown as approved.
I see that, yes.
The rest of those have been issued a will serve and have a current will serve.
Okay,
The waiting list, those, if you notice on the will serve expiration column,
yes.
most of them don't have anything, it just says none. And the top
Okay.
3 lines are all part of the same tract that under direction from State Water Resources Control Board, are required to wait until the treatment plant is built.
Oh, is that the airport?
That's,
Oh, okay. So, is there a time limit on those that have been approved? Are you giving them so much time before you allow the next waiting list to kick in?
essentially how our will serve policy has been exercised in the past is if you get a will serve today, it's good for a year. If you don't show any forward progress, then it expires. If you show forward progress, then it can be extended.
Okay.
Projects that after when their will serve expires, if they're not showing any forward progress, would be moved to the waiting list if there's other viable projects. The only exception being if they pay connection fees. But in order to pay connection fees, you have to put in infrastructure. So we wouldn't allow somebody to pay connection fees, 5 or 10 years before they're ready to go.
Yeah, so the one that has the will serve expiration of 2023 is the 7 units, so that's.
Yes, and they're actually moving forward. They're going through their final plan check right now, so their will serve is still valid.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Director Baker?
No, I think you answered all my questions. Thanks.
I got one question. I think I've asked this question before, but with all the units going across the river there, wouldn't it be more feasible to put in another treatment plant on that side instead of, because you're talking a lot of homes, and then you want, what are you talking, 300 or 400 homes over there?
185.
185 now.
Well, that's what that project was. Is 185.
Yeah. You told me different numbers at different times, but that's okay. But it would still make more sense instead of trying to pump all the sewage from over there, under the bridge, over to here, and so on, to build a separate treatment plant right over there.
So that has been brought up before, and that was when this project was originally proposed. That was what was proposed. However, the state is not willing to permit new treatment plants within close proximity to an existing treatment plant. So because they have the ability to connect to our treatment plant, they can't build another one. And it's been that way for probably the better part of the decade. So the only way that they would be able to build their own treatment plant is if they were isolated from us to a degree that it's not feasible or it's cost prohibitive to get to us.
Well, whatever makes, what seems to me, if it makes good sense,
But you have to understand that the $2 or $3 million it's going to take to get to us is probably $5 or $6 million less than it would cost to build a treatment plant, build the infrastructure to dispose of the water from that treatment plant, and go through permitting. And we would, at that point, the district would most likely be responsible for that treatment plant also, which means we have double the plants to monitor. So long term, it's not the best option.
that's good.
Public comment?
Thank you very well. I'm gonna have to disagree with your general manager. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's no reason to pull something across the river, and I don't believe in today's atmosphere or economy that you wouldn't create a different, separate system with earthquakes and everything else we got going on, that you wouldn't take whatever's gonna be developed there and keep it separate. That's what we developed here. So I don't care what anybody says. That doesn't make any sense. I spent 30 years on the fire department triaging priorities, responsibilities, emergencies, and whatever.
You live in California, don't you?
Yeah, hell yeah, I do.
Does
Too
anything make
bad.
sense?
Too bad. Yeah, well, the governor, whatever his problem is, and his wife was with Weinstein, whatever, doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. The problem is, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You don't drag stuff across a river that you could arbitrarily drop stuff in if we had an earthquake or a problem, when you have the capability of doing something somewhere else. So, are you pumping all the water from this side to that side? No, you have a well over there. Well, if you have a well over there, why wouldn't you keep the waste over there? No. If you're gonna pull the waste over here, then all your water needs to come from over here to over there. And every services needs to come from there over to here. No, you obviously use your common sense and go, hey, we need stuff over there, we need stuff over here. We need to split up our resources, do whatever we need to do. And because it makes more common sense. I have multiple water troughs. My cattle don't go to one place to drink. They go all over the whole ranch because I spread out the availability of where the resources are. Thank you.
Any public comment?
Question really, the nagging question. So, when I first was looking at your stuff back for the new wastewater facility, just reading all about it, there were comments that it appeared that your current facility is getting up to full capacity somewhat. I don't know, my question is really the numbers, and I was just looking at your, this page 97, these two graphs or two tables. So it showed like 460 pending units, is that? And I can see there's actually some projects on here that don't even have application dates, so I'm not sure what that means, but other than they haven't actually gone through the process yet, maybe. But in any event, so is there like a hold on the number of units that are available right now based on your current wastewater facility? Or could you service all of those that are on this list?
If you want to finish your comments, if they want to.
Finish your comment.
Well, that's my comment. I'm just interested if you guys are running now up to the point where you really can't take any more expansion for your sewer system based on these numbers.
I think that was answered, but Kelly, would you like to answer that?
So based on the chart provided, the 164 homes that are proposed in the top part of that chart, those would be able to be served within our current treatment program. The ones in the bottom half of that chart that are the new wastewater service wait list, those would have to have some sort of expansion to the treatment plant in order to serve those. It doesn't mean that some of those might not make it to the top part if something else moves, but in general, the top half would be able to be serviced within our current capacity. It would not leave us much buffer room, and if large projects came forward, the state might disagree. So.
Well, I have a comment. How do you suppose Pass Road gets their sewer from the east side over to the west side?
They dump it in the river. They dump it in the river.
Oh.
They dump it.
They don't treat it first?
In the river.
But they transport it across the river.
135 years, they dump it in
I'm
the
just
river.
making a comment, all right? Just to counter what you said.
135 years, they dump it in
Okay,
the
thank
river.
you. They don't dump it directly.
Oh, you mean they treat it and they dump it in the river?
They treat it. So it's transported across the river.
In
Yeah,
the river.
in a pipeline.
In
Yeah,
the river.
across the river to the sewer plant. Yeah, okay. All right. Update the San Miguel Fire Department temporary housing unit. Page 98. 131. Scott?
Good evening. We have an update on the San Miguel Park Temporary Housing Units / Sheriff's Report Garden area. So the suggested action is to review the temporary housing unit update and approve resolution 2024-44, which is a separate item completely. But the update essentially is saying that we received a permit.
Mr. Greenwald, he's trying to read, please. All right, thank you.
I apologize.
That's all right. No, darn it. I know sometimes trying to keep your voice low. I'm just curious, it's okay.
I can't hear, so I talk loud.
You're welcome to go in the back and just.
Yeah, you guys go outside and discuss it.
Because I know you're having a presentation coming up, so.
Sorry, I hurt your feelings.
No feelings were hurt. Just couldn't hear Scott.
So a building permit was issued on August 22nd, 2024. That was the day of our last board meeting. And since then, staff has met and developed a path forward to overcome the financial impact generated by the permitting process. And the process has been detailed in the interfund loan agenda item. So there's a lot of information here. We go all the way back to the beginning of our, I believe, preliminary meeting, but all the bullet points have been updated to at least August 22nd, 2024, and that's outlined on pages 98 through 100. And then pages 100 through 121 are scans of the building plans and the evolution of the building plans. There was a substantial amount of documentation for such a small project, but that's what we were beholding to through the process. The oddity is just the mix of nomenclature for the project. If you look at the permit on page 122, it says multifamily building. Multifamily building, essential services facility, single family home. The county has just named this thing multiple things, and where we land is apparently a multifamily building held to essential services standards, which costs us a great deal of time and money. The financial impact is detailed on page 121 through 122, I believe. Those are, let's see, I'm sorry, 121, 122 are the permit. 124 is the site plan that gives you overall impact as to what the county has required through the process, impacting the project site in lieu of having a DG driveway to and from Mission Street. We are now required to put in a 12-foot wide asphalt driveway and a bioswale around the perimeter of the building footprint, even though we've demonstrated that the runoff water runs to the south and collects in the area to the south, but they want us to contain it within that footprint. So these all had impacts on our overall project costs, but the design impact was a significant impact. So at the last meeting, the meeting before that, we discussed using utility staff and potentially fire department staff to perform the tasks required to get the building on the ground. We did receive cost feedback from our electrician, and his cost has not changed, which is amazing. And we did receive proposals. General Manager requested proposals from Vibor and Swift to do the site work, and then there's a breakdown of what the cost would be for district staff to perform the tasks as laid out in the proposals from Vibor and Swift. My opinion is we could probably push a little harder and do it for less, but that's a target that we're trying to come under. Is our proposed over. So if you look at 130, it gives you a good breakdown of where we had overruns. And you can see it's a lot of design costs. The Public Works Department not attending the preliminary construction meeting had a huge impact on this project by not bringing forward the curb gutter sidewalk requirements, and then going through the waiver process was lengthy and costly. We had to provide drawings that were engineered drawings that they were capable of providing an estimate of cost. So we do what the cost per bond would be, and we submitted 2 or 3 different renditions of the same thing with, changes every time. They finally agreed to something. So that was with our district engineer, Water Systems Consulting, and then shifting gears from our original designer to a different designer to meet the essential standards criteria that the planner was putting on the project. That was Larry Gabriel Architect, so that had a significant cost impact to the project, in addition to just ridiculous, in my opinion, but not in the county's opinion, foundation design requirement review to the tune of $5,000. We had to prove, and nothing was changed. Just we had to hire an outside consultant to look at that foundation design versus a cookie cutter design, which any other project would receive. We also had cost involved for, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, we had to prove that the structure was up to essential services standards, which is 1.5 times construction standard. Your basic single-family home, which obviously is registered as a multifamily home, is your 1-time construction standard. Essential services 1.5 times. We argued back and forth with the county saying, hey, this thing is a modular home. It travels across the country on wheels. It's to that standard. That wasn't sufficient, so we had countless battles with the manufacturer trying to get data from them to satisfy that criteria. I actually had a letter from an architect that went to county planning staff saying that your planner is out of line and this is ridiculous, but county planning staff overruled that objection. So that was a huge time loss, and it was time for our designers. When we did get the information back, the manufacturer home designer builder was concerned that we were going to steal their design and manufacture homes on our own. So they wouldn't give us that information. It took a long time to get that. And for nothing, because we said it's a modular home, it travels on wheels. So when we got the information back, the home actually counted out at 2.5 construction standard versus 1.5 versus 1. So we were 150% better than what we needed to be. That was the process that took time. So all these things added up, and we've talked about this numerous times, and it's all detailed in these pages, and I'd be happy to answer any questions for you, provide additional information before we move on to the next item.
I just want to congratulate you for perseverance, and this is no easy task, and I'm just elated that this is finally permitted. What is the next step? You had the groundbreaking ceremony.
The groundbreaking ceremony was a celebration of actually receiving the permit, and I sent you all invites. A few came. We appreciate that. The commander was there, supervisor was here. It was a nice event, well attended. Future board members, past board members were all there, so it was a good deal. The next step is to move forward with the interfund loan that we're proposing between lighting and fire, and that's in the next item. That's resolution 2024-44. And that would give us recover the funding that was expended for this permitting process. If you actually looked at our initial cost breakdown and what the projections were, aside from all of this madness, we were right on par with where those costs should have been with our site development, with our designer. Our designer was capable, our initial designer was capable of getting us a minor use permit. But then once it got into building started reclassifying it just kept spiraling, and everything fell on deaf ears. And the end result is we have a permit for a multifamily home, which makes 0 sense, but we have a permit. And it's called different things. So we had to pay road impact fees as well, which were discussed being waived, but when we brought it up, apparently the window of waiver had passed. And that was $6,690 something for road impact fees. And our argument was, there's no impact on the roads for this facility. People that are going to use it, either live here or they're going to come once every couple days. But that fell on deaf ears as well, so we had to pay the road impact fees. And we did that. That was $6,637. So when it's all said and done, we have a tabulation of what our projected final cost will be. Once we have our budget to complete the project, we'll start flipping the dirt and move the unit on. The house has been paid for as far as mobile home sales is concerned. So we've made that final payment. We had a balance of $258 in our escrow account, but we paid off the home. So now it's just our annual payment to our finance company, but their obligation has been fulfilled.
What do you project move-in date?
Provided that we have the funding, mobile home sales, they want to move quickly. They have their contractor on board and ready to go. They're just waiting for a phone call from me to say, we're ready. Once we have funding and we get the site surveyed, we'll start working on the dirt work immediately, if not sooner. So there's a duration. We're going to have inspections. We're going to have public works come out. We're going to stand in the street and discuss the approach and things of that nature. I've been overly optimistic. Now I'm more cautiously optimistic. I would say, it should be done by December.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too, yeah. But maybe January.
It was a serious uphill push, and I appreciate the board, standing behind the project. I think that it's well received by the community. The community actually understands what it's for and how we have to name it. It's all about naming. I had to get permission from the commander, who got permission from the sheriff to call it a report writing room. And there's been buzz back and forth about, I don't even say the word, so it escapes me, substation, and we can't have a substation. We can't afford a substation. We don't have the secure facilities for a substation. This is a facility that's just to bring a presence into the community and to have that sheriff unit out in front, because it makes a huge difference, and to enhance our staffing capability so we can bring firefighters from outside of our footprint, because our firefighters are great and they're motivated, but they get jobs. And right now we don't have the ability to retain them. And once we lose them, we have to backfill, and it's getting harder and harder. One of our guys here, proud of him, he's our engineer paramedic. We're not an ALS department, but he is a paramedic, so he dumbs down his scope to work for us. And he just got hired with Santa Barbara County as a firefighter paramedic. Another one of our firefighters just got hired by San Luis Ambulance. That's going to have an impact. But we cycle through. We have one cadet in Allen Hancock. He'll be out in December. So we're going to rotate, fill that gap, and then next cycle we're going to send another cadet. So it's a revolving door. That's why the equipment need that we spoke about earlier is huge. And the ability to have staff in town overnight. We can't sleep at the fire station. It's illegal. We just cannot do it. So that's why we're here. And the board has supported this from the very beginning. At the inception stage, I was talking about bringing in like a tiny house, 2-bedroom sleeper unit, but the board has expressed interest in entertaining the facility for the sheriff's department, and that's how we arrived here. And I think it's a good idea. I've always believed it was a good idea, or I wouldn't have kept pushing on it.